mynews.studio.
After years of funding cuts, Congress has just approved nearly $6 billion to address HIV and AIDS worldwide. The question is, will this funding mark a real turning point? It's February 8th, 2026. The U.S. Congress has passed a $5.88 billion global HIV/AIDS package. When you look at how this funding is organized, what stands out most to you? The package is divided into three main parts. The largest share, $4.6 billion, goes directly to countries most affected by HIV and AIDS. Then, $1.25 billion is directed to the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, and $45 million is set aside for UNAIDS. The size of the package is notable, but just as important is the purpose: re-establishing U.S. leadership in global health after previous reductions. Let's look at what this means on the ground. How will this money actually change things for prevention and treatment, especially in the most impacted countries? In many countries, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, this funding should mean more reliable access to antiretroviral treatment, support for local clinics, and more robust outreach programs. But it's not just about delivering medication. The package also invests in building up local health systems, training healthcare workers, improving data collection, and supporting care led by local communities. The long-term aim is for these countries to transition from heavy dependence on outside aid to managing and sustaining their own HIV responses. So, would you say this represents a change from past U.S. strategy, or is it more of a return to an earlier approach? In a sense, it's both. The recent America First Global Health Strategy pushed for greater local ownership, encouraging countries to lead their own responses, not just rely on external help. But this package also restores funding after more than $1.5 billion was cut in recent years. For example, $1 billion is going back into prevention through the CDC, $525 million for Ryan White Core Services, and $128 million plus for CDC's global programs. I remember when those cuts happened. There were real problems: medication shortages, clinics shutting down, outreach programs scaled back. Does this new funding address those issues directly? It does. The intention is to fill those gaps. For instance, there's a $24 million increase for the HAPWA program, which is focused on providing stable housing, key for ensuring people stay on treatment. Restoring CDC and Ryan White funding means clinics can reopen and outreach can grow again. The aim is to recover lost ground and keep progress steady. Now, the Global Fund and UNAIDS both receive significant U.S. support. How does this package fit into their broader work? The U.S. remains the largest donor to the Global Fund, and this $1.25 billion contribution helps maintain that role. The Global Fund brings together resources from many countries to support prevention, treatment, and education efforts worldwide. The $45 million for UNAIDS will help sustain the progress of the last 2 decades, especially in regions where the epidemic is still growing. Let's talk about goals, specifically the UNAIDS 95-95-95 targets for 2030. Do you think this funding could get us closer? That's 95% of people with HIV knowing their status, 95% on treatment, and 95% with viral suppression, right? That's correct. The funding supports PEPFAR, which has been central to the U.S. response since 2003. With these resources, PEPFAR can continue to expand testing, treatment, and targeted interventions based on data. Plus, by connecting this with the Ending the HIV Epidemic initiative, there's a push for real-time data and more efficient approaches to reach those targets. Why should listeners care about this, especially those who don't live in the hardest-hit countries? HIV and AIDS remain global health threats. When the U.S. invests in prevention and treatment abroad, it also strengthens health security at home. Viruses don't recognize borders, so stronger health systems elsewhere help prevent outbreaks everywhere. Plus, this funding helps restore U.S. credibility and leadership internationally. Are lessons from past U.S.-led efforts being applied to this new push? Definitely. Previous efforts showed us that stable funding, engaging local communities, and robust data systems are essential. This package aims to make those lessons lasting, empowering countries, sustaining programs, and linking funding to clear, measurable outcomes.
So, to sum up, this isn't just restoring old funding. It's a coordinated effort to regain momentum, address setbacks, and aim for a real end to the epidemic.
That's exactly it. The hope is that this time, the resources, the experience, and the partnerships will finally align to control HIV and AIDS.
Which brings us right back to the opening question. Could this be the turning point?
We'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, the data will tell us.
Thank you for joining us as we unpack the U.S.'s nearly $6 billion commitment to HIV and AIDS. We covered the funding structure, what it means for prevention and treatment, and why it matters worldwide.
Stay with us for more deep dives into critical global health topics. Thanks for listening. This episode was produced by mynews.studio, available for free now.